Have you ever felt like your past was too dark for God to use? Like you've made too many mistakes or missed your chance? So did Moses. He was born during a genocide, raised in a palace, murdered a man, then ran away and disappeared for 40 years. In the quiet desert, broken and forgotten, he thought his story was over. But God doesn't throw people away. In fact, sometimes he lets them break just to rebuild them for something greater. This is the story of how a fugitive with a stutter became a leader who shook an empire, and how God still uses broken people to change history. Moses was born into danger. Pharaoh had commanded that every Hebrew baby boy be killed, but his mother, desperate and brave, placed him in a basket and hid him among the reeds of the Nile River. By divine design, Pharaoh's own daughter found him and chose to raise him as her son. So Moses, a Hebrew by blood, grew up with Egyptian royalty. He had education, power, and privilege. But deep down, he knew he didn't belong. One day, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, his own people. In a burst of anger, Moses attacked and killed the Egyptian. Realizing what he'd done, he panicked. Pharaoh found out, and Moses ran. Away from the palace, away from Egypt, away from his destiny. Moses fled to Midian, a dry, lonely wilderness. There, he married a woman named Zipporah, became a shepherd, and settled into a quiet life. He lived in obscurity for 40 years. Day after day, sheep, sand, silence. He had once been a prince. Now, he was just a man wandering hills, haunted by his past. Maybe he thought God had forgotten him. Maybe he thought, I missed my chance. I'm too broken, too guilty, too far gone. But while Moses was giving up on himself, God was just getting started. One ordinary day, Moses saw something strange, a bush on fire, but not burning up. As he moved closer, a voice called out. Moses froze. He had never heard anything like it. And then, God gave him a mission. I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt. I've heard their cries, and I am sending you to bring them out. Moses couldn't believe it. Me? Who am I? What if they don't believe me? I can't speak well. I'm not good enough. Please send someone else. But God answered simply, I will be with you. With Aaron at his side, Moses returned to Egypt, the place he once fled in fear. He stood before Pharaoh and said, Let my people go. Pharaoh laughed. Then he refused. But God showed his power. One by one, the plagues fell. The Nile turned to blood. Frogs overran the land. Then gnats, flies, disease, darkness, and still Pharaoh's heart was hard. Until the final plague, the death of every firstborn in Egypt. That night, Pharaoh finally gave in, and Moses led the Israelites out of slavery into freedom. But soon after, Pharaoh changed his mind. He gathered his army and chased after the Israelites. The people saw the Red Sea ahead and Pharaoh's army behind. They were trapped, but Moses raised his staff over the water, and the sea split in two. Walls of water stood on both sides, and the people walked through on dry ground. When Pharaoh's chariots followed, the sea collapsed. And just like that, the most powerful army in the world was destroyed. God had delivered his people through a man who once thought he was worthless. Moses continued to lead the people through the wilderness. He climbed Mount Sinai and received the 10 Commandments. He built a nation from former slaves. He walked with God, even spoke with him face to face. Yes, he made mistakes. Yes, he had moments of anger and doubt. But the man who once said, I can't, became the man God used to write history. And though Moses never stepped into the promised land himself, he paved the way for an entire generation to enter it. Moses was broken. He had blood on his hands. He had shame in his soul. He had a speech problem and self-doubt louder than his voice. And still, God chose him. Not because he was perfect, but because he was willing. God doesn't wait for you to have it all together. He meets you in your failure, in your fear, in your wilderness. Maybe you think it's too late for you. Maybe you think your mistakes disqualify you. But God sees something in you that even you don't see yet. He did it with Moses. He can do it with you. What if the very thing you think disqualifies you is the very reason God chose you?